Hi everyone, and welcome to another DIY series. Today I'm going to show you how to create 2 wreaths. Now Christmas is fast approaching, so what a great opportunity to know how to create a wreath for your front door. Now the other occasions that you can use a wreath is for a sympathy, for a table centerpiece with some beautiful candles, or for Easter. Or the other option, you can get really creative, is by using it for a picture frame, which I'm going to show you in this lesson. So let's talk about the materials that we're going to be using today. There are so many options of the bases that you can use. You can be very creative and do it organically and go outside to your backyard and see what you can find. If you've got a grapevine, perfect. You can intertwine and create a circular base. You can even do it from branches. Now, if you are going to do it with the branches, my recommendation is to soak the branches in water for at least a day so they become quite flexible and bendable for you to create a beautiful circular base. Now, the other option you can do is get it pre-made. The one that I actually love is from SMITHER'S OASIS. Now they actually have done this amazing base that they have got this lovely paper mache base, and it actually holds the water and is such a beautiful base. Now remember guys that the green sponge foam is for fresh flowers and the grey OASIS is for the dried flowers. Now we're not going to use this one today, but what we're going to use is this one here, is a ring. It's made out of metal, and I'm going to actually use and place all the greenery around the ring. We're also going to use either cable tie or 22 gauge wire, FLORAL wire. Now there is 2 ways of doing it. You can use it with your cable tie, or you can attach your flowers with the wire. But I'm going to show you, and you can work out which one suits you and what you prefer to use. So let's talk about the flowers we're going to use. All we're going to use, guys, is artificial eucalyptus foliage. That's it. They look so beautiful. I have cut the pieces into little stems, but they actually come on a branch, as you can see here. Now, honestly, the artificials at the moment, like I've said in my previous tutorials, they look amazing. And honestly, coming from Australia, this looks like real eucalyptus. The only thing it doesn't have is the smell, of course. Anyway, so let's start designing the beautiful wreath. In this design, I'm going to teach you how to create the wreath to go inside this picture frame. But let's talk about the picture frame first. Guys, it's so simple. You might have an old picture frame or a mirror frame sitting outside getting all dusty. Well, get it in, because this is what you can do. So for us, we had an old picture frame, didn't have a glass base, but we got that made. We got someone to make us a mirror so we could place it at the back of the frame. We painted it, and voila, look how beautiful this picture frame, mirror picture frame looks like. So we're going to have a little double-sided tape, that's a little hook that holds at least 5 kilos in the mirror, and we're going to attach the wreath good to go inside the frame. So beautiful. Think out of the box, because you never know what's sitting at the back in your garage getting dusty, where you could do something like this. Okay, let's do the wreath. So we need to prepare our foliage. So get your eucalyptus stems, and you need to use your wire cutters. Now we're going to cut them in little sizes. Now see, there's 1, 2, 3 leaves. I'm going to cut them down to 3 little leaves. That's my measurement. Maybe if you were doing a larger wreath, then I would actually keep the length and the bush size like this. But because it's a small wreath to go in the picture frame, we need to do little sizes, not big sizes, because it's gonna overpower the actual frame of the mirror base. So we need to do little sizes like this, and then we'll be able to attach it right around the ring. So give yourself about 5-10 minutes to prepare your foliage. And once you have everything prepared, then you can start getting into designing your wreath. As mentioned before, we're going to use the cable tie and the 22 gauge wire to attach the foliage to the frame. Now, there is another product that I'm going to also mention is the PARAFILM. Now, PARAFILM is like a tape and it actually stretches. This is a coated tape that hides your mechanics. So if you are going to use a cable tie or you're going to use the 22 gauge wire, then you would use this to wrap it around to cover the wire or your mechanics. So I'm going to show you that in a minute. So let's go with placing the flowers onto the frame, and then we're going to use the cable tie if you want to use that, and then we're going to show you, and then I'm going to show you the wire. Okay, so with the eucalyptus, we're going to use the end bit of the eucalyptus. We're going to place that stem against the frame. With your right-handed, if you're right-handed, that's your control. So this is your force to place your flowers onto the frame. If you're left-handed, it's the opposite, obviously. You use your left hand. Okay, putting the stem on, using your cable tie, you do not move the position of your flat hand. You place the cable tie under the frame, pierce the little end through the slot, and you just pull. Now pulling, use your fingers, try not to move your stem as much, and then push it really tight against the frame so it's secured. You can use your secateurs to snip that off. This is where you use your PARAFILM. Now some florists will leave that and they won't bother, because at the end they will glue with their glue gun some eucalyptus leaves to hide the mechanics. But some florists, they will use the PARAFILM. I'm just going to cut a little piece off, and they will just hide the mechanics now, and they will do that little extra step so they know it's done. Okay, the next step is grabbing your next stems of the eucalyptus, and you're going to grade the leaves. So you're going to do the largest leaf on the base, the second grade, the smallest, on top of that one, and leave a little gap. And then you're going to do the smallest one at the front. So you're just holding that into position onto its neck. You're going to then trim the stem down like this, and this one is either going to go directly on top or on the side. Well, what we're going to do today is we're going to do a method that is, one's going to be flat, the next one's going to go on the side, the other one's going to go on the other side, and then there's one going to be on the top. And I'm going to repeat that repetition all the way through around the wreath. So here we go. We've got one at the front, as you can see. The next one I'm going to go on the side. Why? Because I want to make that nice and full on the side. So when you're looking at this side of the wreath, it's going to be full. And on this side, it's going to be nice and full. And then the top is going to be full. Okay, so holding that into position. If anything moves, just replace it back into position. Because once you lock it in with your wire or your cable tie, that's it. You're not going to be able to take that off unless you cut it. Okay, right on, that's moved. And this is what's going to happen all the time. So here we go, one on the side. Now we're going to use the 22 gauge wire. We're going to do a hairpin bend like this. We're going to place that on the top of the frame, hold it, and this long piece, this long leg we call it, we're going to go around the frame. So right around to the underneath the neck of the leaf. So pull, bring it around, and every time you bring it around, you're pulling again. I go 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, then we bring that wire down. See how I brought it down? Then I'm going to cut that wire. Don't throw that wire away because we can use that wire for the next step. Where now, because we've shown our mechanics, we use the tape, the floral tape. So once again, just cut a little tiny piece off and just wrap that around. Now this is the paper one, and there is another floral tape that you can pull and it becomes a little bit more stretchy. So this one, because it's paper tape, you can just go around and it sticks on. Okay, so we've done this side, now we've got to go on the other side. So once again, grabbing your little leaves, grade them. So you're looking at them. Okay, that one, actually, I don't want to use that. That's too small. Actually, no, let's use it. It's okay because it's going from the outside, so it's okay. But the leaves that you want for the top half, you want the larger leaves. So here we go. Grading, snip that off. It's exactly the same repetition that we did before. Here we go. We've got the little grades. I'm going the other side here, and what I'm doing as well, I'm keeping in mind to cover the mechanics. See the cable tie there? I'm going to put that directly on the top, but it's on the side, so it covers, so you cannot see that wire at all. And then there'll be some more eucalyptus on the top, so you won't see that. Once again, I'm going to use my wire. So hairpin bend, once again, move your hand. What you actually can do, if you can't get the hairpin on the top, because we're doing the side, what you can do is leave the little tail, go around, and go around the stem. 1, 2, and 3. So I didn't do the hairpin bend, I just went around the stem. Bringing your wire down, same as before. Grab some floral tape and wrap that around. Just remember, I mentioned before that you don't have to do the tape. If you don't do the tape, then you've got a lot more work to do with gluing your leaves to cover all your mechanics. Okay, so we have got this side and this side. Now we need to go on the top. So here we go, side and side. So one at the front, one straight, one on the side, one on the side. Now we need the larger leaves. Here we go, we're grading them. Oh, here we go. Which one's the largest one? Okay, so we've got 1, 2, and 3. Trim, holding it into position. Now I'm going on the top. So I'm bringing that down a little fraction. And you can spread them apart how you would like them to sit. Okay, here we go. Now we can go around. So you can do your hairpin bend, place it on the top and go right around. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. Bring that down, and now we're going to trim. Okay guys, this is what we need to do all the way around. So I'm going to go halfway and I'll see you in a minute. So it's the same repetition. Remember, it's the same repetition all the way around. If you were going to place flowers to mix it up, you can certainly do the same step. So greenery, a flower, another type of flower, some greenery, and you repeat, repeat, repeat. So you get a pattern going, and then just repeat the steps mechanically all the way through. See you in a minute. The other thing I want to mention too, guys, is that if you are doing a large wreath, obviously for the door, you don't have to cut your pieces individually. What you would do is you would use either large pieces like this, and you'll cut your stems into maybe 3, or depending how you would like to create, you might want to cut them a little bit more shorter so you get more pieces out of the stem. But because we're doing a smaller one into that beautiful picture frame, we really need to cut them individually, because if we do the big stems like this, look what's going to happen. Can you see how overpowering this is looking? But as I said, if it's for a door, you can do this beautiful softer look all the way through, like really big and soft all the way around, all around the ring. Okay, the other thing I want to show you is when you're grading your leaves, as mentioned just before, when we did the pattern of going, we did one straight, one on the side, one on the side, one straight, and then what you can do as well is the one on the side, you can just go underneath. See how I'm just going to go underneath? Instead of going here like this, I'm going to go from underneath like this, because it kind of brings another frilly texture, and then I'll put one on the top, and then I can go back underneath. So you might find that the pattern and how you're designing, your inner little voice is telling you, no, it looks better if you go underneath. Go with your gut instinct. Go with that little creative voice that's telling you, okay, yeah, Georgie was showing us on the video, it's going like this, but it's actually working better this way. Do it. Just go with the gut feeling, and you never know. And this is where you can experiment with different ideas, and you will be surprised what the result will look at the end. So yeah, be experimental with your designs and your placements. It's okay to change it, because I think it looks a lot nicer if I go underneath, so where other flowers may be better in that pattern. So I'm going to keep doing it this way now. So I'm changing the design, the step a little bit, going around with my wire, tight, and bringing it down. Okay. And the other idea, let's have a look. See how this is this was on the top of the eucalyptus. See the top bit, the end bit of the eucalyptus? Let me see if this is going to look too bushy if I put that in there. Is it going to break it up a little bit? See, we had it here. I need to balance what we did here over here. That's fine. I think that looks actually really, really good. So that's going on the top of the ring. Okay, I'm just moving it around. So while I'm designing and creating, I'm fluffing up my leaves, so it actually, I can see the whole design. That's looking really, really beautiful. Okay, here we go. So you just saw me just now, that I just wired it and I didn't parafilm it. Well, you don't have to do every single one. You can go every second one. So I'm going to now parafilm that, because I didn't do that just before. Bring it down, and now I'll use my tape. And once again, at the end, I'm going to look at the design, and if I need to use my glue gun and just glue a few little extra pieces in, I'm going to do it. But I don't know how the end result's going to look until we finish the design. Okay, here we go. I'm just going all the way down. So when you parafilm, go all the way down to, you don't see that stem. Here we go. Pulling. And then go back the other way with the tape. And just lock those little wires in. There we go. So it's nice and neat. See how nice and neat that looks? Instead of seeing all these wires. Okay, now I've done the front top bit, and now I'm going to go on the side, and then the top. So grading my leaves. Yep, beautiful. Let me see. So remember I mentioned that we can go this way? Let me have a look if I go back the other way. It looks better that way now. So just going underneath. See, and it kind of cleans that back area up too, behind the wreath. Oh, that looks so beautiful. It's getting together. We can see some progress. Beautiful. Making sure before we lock it in, we're happy how the design looks. I'm happy with that. I'm going to lock you in. Here we go. Let me get that little bit of wire. Hold it from behind. Once, twice, 3 times. I'm going to, that's the finish the end of that wire. Pierce it through. Bring that one down. Okay, I'm going to parafilm that now. So just judge if you need to parafilm straight away. Because I feel that it needs to be done, I'm going to do it. You know, I can't express enough how important it is to clean your mechanics, to cover your mechanics, cover those wires, cover the glue. Don't want to show your workmanship to your clients or to anyone that's going to be receiving it. You want it to look as natural as possible, and the workmanship looks beautiful. Okay, once again, I'm grading my leaves. I'm going to go back on the other side. Okay, beautiful. And behind and around. This is really, really popular now as well for, also I had the idea in my mind, I forgot to mention how I said that it can be used in different occasions. This could be also used for a wedding, for a bridesmaid, for a wedding day, where you could do, the bridesmaids can hold it like this, and it's very modern and very contemporary, and it's very in at the moment, especially for boho, with this rustic you know, elements that can be introduced to the design with some beautiful pampas and the eucalyptus. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. So that's another idea too, guys, is that you can use it for weddings, even for the bride or the bridesmaids, or you can make a head circlet. So, you know, you could either do a head circlet, but not this big ring because my head doesn't fit, but it's the same method that is used for a head circlet continues on to the wreath method as well. So once you learn the techniques on doing it, then your creative side can be experimental, like I said just before, like explore different options, explore different materials, you know, different shades in color with flowers and textures. You know, this is where floristry becomes very exciting. Once you start learning the techniques, you can really then take it to the next level. Look at that. Now it's really forming really beautiful. And it's important, once again, and I keep reminding you and I keep repeating myself because it's good for me to repeat so it stays inside your mind, is to not move your hand when you're putting your placements into the frame, because when you move, the whole foliage becomes very loose, and you know, and they could fall out, and you don't want that to happen. Okay, now I would like to grab some of that top bit of the eucalyptus, because it's very important that we balance that through. And I'm not going to wire that. I'm just going to, like I said before, just hold that straight into there. So just keep doing this to the end, and you're going to be surprised with the outcome, how amazing it's going to look. So guys, I'll see you in a minute. Okay guys, so I've actually now come to the end of my wreath, and I have actually been wiring and taping for at least approximately about an hour. I mean, this technique, doing it like this, is quite time consuming, but it's not as time consuming if we were doing it the traditional method. Now, I'm going to show you that now. I'm just going to pop this down and then we'll jump back into doing this. So I think earlier I was explaining that if you know the same kind of technique, you can use the same method to do a head circlet and so forth. But if you are doing a head circlet, and if you were going to do this wreath in a different technique, which I'm going to show you now, which is the wiring technique individually, this is how you would do it. But don't get confused, the way I've shown you is a method that you can do. It's a quick method, where this way is very, very time consuming, and like I said, you would do this with a head circlet. If you were doing for a flower girl or a bride or bridesmaid, you would do the wire technique. So it's basically cutting your leaves and layering it into layers like this, how we've done just before. And then you would do a hairpin bend like this here. So a little hairpin bend. You would place the wire on top of the stems. So you'll place your wire like this. Put your finger on the top to hold the wire into position. And then you use your right hand and you will go around 1, 2, and 3, and then you'll bring it down. So when we do bridal bouquets, head circlets, as mentioned, we would do a wire technique like that. Every single flower would be wired like this and leaf. Then you would use your parafilm to tape your wire. Now the wire is obviously, like I said, is to hide your mechanics, and also it holds the flower into position as well. So let me just wire that, and you'll find that it holds it together. So there you go. So you could have done it this way, and it would be more of a tighter, structured look, where opposed to this kind of way that I've done it, it still allowed that nice, soft, rattle, ruching kind of look. So if you did it like this, oops, that's okay, I'm only showing you anyway. If you're doing it like this, you would still do the same steps by putting one towards the front, one on the side, another on the side, and then another one in the center. And you'll keep that repetition all the way through into your design. Now, we haven't done it, but that's what I wanted to show you, that you can do this concept, repetition work, wired all the way I showed you. Just gather it and bind it around, place it down, and parafilm. And that's what we did with this wreath. Okay, let's go to the end of the wreath. Now we still have this little section left. So what we need to do is we need to fill that in. Now it becomes a little bit more trickier because you don't have a lot of movement and room to work, because it's getting really, really tight into the wreath. So let's have a look how we're going to go here. So I'm using my secateurs to trim those off. I use my wire cutters to cut through the stem. Now I'm going to gather this little bunch. I'm going to hold it into place. Here's my right, and I'm going to spread it open, and I'm going to really push that in nicely and tightly in there. Okay, once that's into place, I grab my wire. Like I said, leave a little tail with your wire here and go around the neck of the bundle. It's the same work, guys, all the way through. So it becomes quite enjoyable because you're not really changing the technique. You're just continuing doing this for almost an hour. But it's such a beautiful result at the end. Okay, now I'm just going to cut. Let me just spread that open, as you can see here. So I'm going to cut that little stem off to keep it nice and clean. And that becomes a little bit tighter, hard because of the wire stems in there. Okay, trim. And we're just going to still continue. Let me grab another little bundle and place it right inside, and you'll find when you start placing it, well, you're coming to the end, it's now kind of blend, how can I say, it's coming to the end where it's kind of connecting all those bunches together. I'm using the stem from the example that I showed you. That's all right. We don't throw any wires away, so we're going to use that. Lovely. Okay, so it's looking great from the front, but now, as you can see here, we need to cover that area there. So what we could do is, if we can see if we can do a little bit more wire work. If not, this is where we're going to use our glue gun to be able to fill that little gap up with the glue gun and glue the glue on the eucalyptus leaves. Here we go, let's put that in. Let's use that little one here. We're not going to waste that. All right, let's have a look how we're going to do this. Okay, as you can see, we've got the gap here. So I'm going to use this little bundle here, and I'm going to place that right behind in here, as close as I can. I'm going to wire that, and then I'm going to go and glue some eucalyptus leaves to cover my mechanics, because I can't use the wire anymore because it's going to expose the wire too much. Yep, it's getting very, very tight in here with these leaves, but that's okay. We can correct that and hide those mechanics with the glue gun. Okay, there we go. Trim and trim. So as you can see, I placed this one over here, but I'm going to just go around, look at my wreath, start using my fingertips and moving the leaves into place. So it might mean that I might have to move one leaf to be able to put another leaf underneath to get a really nice full movement in that little area there. So fluff it out, ruche it up, balance the design. Okay, I'm really, really happy with that. It looks really beautiful. Okay, now, as you can see, all the holes in there, as I said just before. Now, I'm going to cover that with some individual eucalyptus leaves. So, I'm going to, how are they positioned? Okay, so yep. So look at the base of it and see where the eucalyptus is moving, which way it's moving the pointy leaves. So they're all moving in this direction. So it means that I will need to glue a little bit in this area here, just on the bottom of the leaf, and I'm going to place it anywhere, place my leaves anywhere that I can see the wire exposed or the parafilm exposed. So you can use some little ones and some big ones. You just judge it when you get to your design. So there's a lot of big leaves here, so I'm going to break it up with some little ones in here. Excellent. And then I'm going to place another one a little bit closer, because I don't want to see any wires at all. So this might take up another 10 to 15 minutes, or depending how close you've put your placements in the first place when you did the positioning of your leaves. Yep, needs another one in here. So just keep in mind that the glue is very, very hot. So it's not a cooling glue, this is a hot glue gun. So please be careful when you're using the glue and know where your fingers are so you don't get burnt. Okay, so what you can do is you can start using your fingertips and just open up the leaves like this to see if there's any parafilm really showing or if there's any gaps. So I'm gonna put another one in here. And if you do that, it allows you, you don't get, you're not gonna have a mistake in how can I say, by doing this, you have a system. So instead of going to put a bit of glue here, a little bit of glue here, a little bit of glue there, you have a system. So start from one side and work all the way around. Yep, there's another big hole in there. So, and that needs a larger leaf. Don't worry, the glue isn't going to set. It takes at least 30 seconds before it starts cooling down and setting. So you don't have to rush and feel panicked that, oh my goodness, the glue is going to dry, and by the time I get to the spot where I need to place the leaf. So don't stress, it's okay. There we go. And then I'm going to open up and I'm just doing the back. Here we go, another one. It's always great to have good workmanship. I cannot stress that enough. And you know, your clients or your friends and family will recognize this, because they might not recognize it at first how good you've done it, but when they do get an arrangement or see an arrangement from someone else that hasn't done great workmanship, then they will really appreciate how much work has been behind doing a design like this. It looks easy because it's using one type of flower, but the technique is, you know, it's time consuming. Okay, so just turn it around. And then once you do the back, then you turn it over and start looking at the front. And once that is completed, then that's it. The design is finished. So once you go around the design, turn it around like I just said, and have a look at the front. Yep, there's a few little gaps in here, and they need some little leaves in this one here. So I'm going, yep, on the back, open it up, and I'm going to tuck that inside. Now you'll notice that you don't actually need to do too much towards the front in gluing, because we've worked really a lot more towards the front and the sides. It's just the back we didn't really go as tight with our placement. So yeah, once you do that, then the design is completed, and that can either be hung on a wall or on a picture frame, as we're going to do over here. The other thing to keep in mind is you don't need to do this in artificial. You can do this in fresh flowers. So if you can't get to your floral supply to pick up some artificial flowers, it's okay. Go out the backyard or go for a walk on the fields and collect and gather and create. Try to create something similar to this with a variety of foliages and flowers. What else did I want to say? You could definitely do something like this in just green, and maybe using a few little berries to break up the design, just depending on what you want to do. It's just endless. Before I go, keep in the back of your mind that you could do this as a Christmas is coming, Christmas wreath for the table. You could possibly put some baubles in here. So wiring your baubles and just straight through, just say this is your Christmas bauble, which is not, but if it is, you could just wire your Christmas bauble straight through into the wreath, tie it at the back, hide your mechanics, and have some Christmas baubles in your beautiful wreath. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye.